work on a update of my game, of updating the skill system and everything that kind of went into that. The main takeaway here is that when you have a skill, you can equip a Seams Crystal, and it'll change it into an altered skill or a master skill. The skill replaces the base skill, and it only applies when that Seams Crystal is equipped. When it's removed, that skill reverts to its base form. So the same thing happens with the master skill, but if you have a lot of battles with that master skill, you permanently learn the master skill and retain the base skill. So this opens up to a lot of customization for your characters. The first thing I wanted to do was to implement this into my game. So I tried to use the events in RPG Maker, the self-made events that the game has pre-made for you, and tried to see if I could do anything with that. And that turned out to be too hard to do and too cumbersome, so I needed to work on a script. So I was able to have a script check the actor's skills, and then check their equipment, and from those skills, it would go to the note section in each skill. So as an example down here, Locke has a skill called Lancet. It's the first skill he gets. And from reading the note tag section in my script, it checks what type of the skill it is. So it's a base type. So it then checks the elements of the seams that it's equipped. So 9 is earth and 11 is water. So these are arrays. It checks the first slot of the array. Since element 9, let's say it is equipped with an earth skill, earth accessory, whatever, it'll change into skill 73, which is knocked out. And that is a learn type or a master type. And it checks every time you move your equipment around, it'll check that earth element is equipped and keep the skill. If not, it removes it. The thing that makes it permittable is these variables here. That the 30th variable in this game is the value for your points for this skill. And if it reaches or is greater than 5, then you permanently learn those skills. Pull that information, and I learned a lot about the library in this. The library for RPG Maker is not well documented, and it's not incredibly descriptive on what does what. So I first tried to take the array that the game has pre-built in that has all the skills for the players and add those values to the array. And that turned out to be not as efficient as just using the data skills and adding a skill. There's a pre-built functions that allows you to learn and forget skills that I was able to grab and use that, and that made everything a lot more cleaner. The problem with this system is that it only runs after you equip a Seams accessory, and it'll boot you out to the out of the main menu. So you don't have a good preview or indication of what skills become what other skills. And I worked on this to not have you get kicked out, so you could change your party and multiple seam setups, and then when you exited the menu, it would tell you everything. But that still wasn't efficient because I wanted it to highlight what skills would turn into what other skills. Like when you're equipping stuff in traditional RPGs, you'll see what the stat changes are. So I had to work on that aspect. My own equipment menu separate from everything else. The problem with that is I based it off the equip menu, and I couldn't unconnect everything from the equip menu, and it was causing a lot of visual issues on either my new menu I created or the equipment menu. I was then suggested to just use the main equipment menu, and when you open up the Seams equipment, it will change the menu size on the right side to give you more space. And instead of the stats here, it would tell you what skills would transform into what other skills. And this took a lot of trial and error. The main issue I had was moving this window box, and I'd look through my script, I'd look through the in-game library script, and I'd look through the documentation, and I really couldn't quite find what made you move the menu size. Somebody in the Discord helped me out on how to do that. Then I ran into another issue where this menu on the right would extend over to the left, but it would only be writable on this right half. So I have almost I have 50% more screen space, but I can't write on any of that new space. And I kept on looking and looking and still couldn't figure out the answer. I was working on this entire process for about 3 weeks to try to get everything working, and I just still couldn't really do it. Somebody on the Discord again was able to help me out and change the contents in which I could draw everything, which helped finish out this section of the skill system. So from learning from that, it was the bitmap, I believe, and I was able to look up a bunch of documentation on the bitmap section. A problem with libraries is that they have poor documentation in some cases and don't tell you what methods or functions can be applied to elements of variables or classes. So with everything said and done, I was able to create my skill system and have everything look nice and fancy. It's still a little bit more improvement, but I'm really happy with the results. On this page, it'll tell you what skill you have, what element's highlighted, and what skill will transform into another skill. So from here, we talked about it earlier, Lancet transforms into Whirling Cutter. That works. And the earth scenes, I can remove it, and it will still have the skill work. I still learn Lancet and Noctowl, so I'm able to change those skills, which is really nice. There's still some work on this, but I'm really happy with the results so far. If you're interested in this project at all, please follow me. Look at me at Twitter. I'm trying to make a Twitter following for the game itself. But thanks everybody for watching, and have a good one.